After all your efforts to command the darkness and protect those you cherish, it is a shame you locked that power away in the end.
After allowing darkness into my heart, am I still fit to wield the Keyblade? Even after locking you away, here you are, haunting me again. So I get it now. There's no point in trying to hold the darkness back. I know the way. Consume the darkness. Return it to light.
What a journey you and I have had.
You know, it's strange. I think I'm gonna miss you.
Your strength is vaster than darkness.
Number 3 on this list is Riku from Kingdom Hearts. Riku, not only is he one of my favorite characters of all time, but he is probably my favorite Kingdom Hearts character in this series. And the reason why I love Riku so much is I genuinely believe that he is one of the most relatable characters in the series. I can relate to Riku so much, you know, just his walk from falling into darkness and being somebody who was literally consumed by the darkness, who was even possessed at one point, and then to completely, you know, redeem himself in Chain of Memories, and that redemption coming full circle in Dream Drop Distance when he becomes a Keyblade Master. His arc is so beautiful, and you know, it really does show that, like, your past does not define you, you know? Your past doesn't define you. Your past might explain you, but it does not define you. Now, I am nowhere near as cool as Riku, you know, like, not even close, right? I'm never gonna reach that status, but like I said earlier, you know, I can relate to him a lot. You know, I've been through my fair share of darkness. You know, I've experienced my fair share of darkness. I believe that we all battle with some kind of darkness or demons or whatever it is. You know, we all go through stuff, right? But really what defines you is how you come out of that, right? And I just, you know, I made a video called The Gospel According to Kingdom Hearts, and I'm not going to get too much into it in this video, but essentially it's a video talking about, you know, Jesus and, like, how the gospel is represented in Kingdom Hearts, and one of the characters I look at is Riku and his journey and his redemption, because it really is just a great representation of what the Christian walk kind of looks like, right? You know, we fall into sin, but then we are redeemed, right? And it's beautiful. And I think my favorite thing about Riku is not only does he fall into darkness and then begins to fight the darkness after he realizes, like, you know, how far he's fallen and how much he's messed up, but he actually at one point begins to accept the darkness, right? He accepts that it's a part of him. And you know, coming to that point where you're literally, like, you're walking the road to dawn, you're balancing this light and this darkness, right? Because we all have a little bit of both in us. I think that's really cool, and it really shows his maturity from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Chain of Memories to Kingdom Hearts 2, right? It's just, I love it. And I think why Riku has impacted my life so much, not even so much to the fact that, you know, where I can just relate to him a lot, but really just because I love his final conversation with Ansem, right? And Ansem says this to him. Ansem tells him, "Your strength is vaster than darkness." This is the man who literally has, at the start, possessed Riku and took control of him, and literally was like the devil to Riku, right? Like, he was like Ansem was Riku's demon, essentially, throughout the whole series. And for someone like that to tell you straight to your face that your strength is vaster than darkness, this man who is literally called the Seeker of Darkness, that's one of the greatest compliments that you could ever receive, especially if you're Riku. Riku is somebody who has went through the fire, right? He's been through the trials and the tribulations. He's experienced the darkness. But in the end, it didn't burn him. It didn't drown him. No, it actually made him more refined. It actually made him shine brighter than he's ever shown before. It actually made him stronger. Because there's two things that can happen when you go through a fire. You either come out burned or you come out refined. I admire and look up to Riku so much because literally for your demon, essentially, to look you in the eyes and say your strength is vaster than darkness, that's huge, man. That just shows how much Riku has endured this journey, right? Like how far he's gotten, right? How far he's gone from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 3. It's amazing. Like his arc is one of my favorites in video games just because of, again, his journey, because he's me, you know, like I can relate to him a lot. And I think that's like something so huge to understand about yourself, right? Like your strength is vaster than darkness. We all have a little bit of darkness in us, but to realize that you are so much greater and so much stronger than that, and that, like, you know, this darkness or whatever it is doesn't define you, I promise you, you're going to shine brighter than you've ever shone before. You're going to be such a light in people's lives, because light shines brightest in the dark. That's my biggest takeaway from Riku. That's why he's number 3 on this list, because his character really is just a reflection of, like, the human journey, you know, like the human walk of just, like, you know, we go through all these things, but again, these things don't define us. You know, we're actually greater than the things that we go through, and I really believe that, because if you let what you've struggled with and, you know, this darkness in you actually define who you are, you're ultimately going to be a more negative person. You're ultimately going to have a more negative outlook on life. You're probably going to be a little bit more depressed than you would like to be, and you're going to be miserable. And the reason why I say that is because I used to be like that, right? I used to kind of look at the glass as half empty and not half full. I used to look at the things that I've dealt with, and I've talked about some of my experiences in number 4, dealing with fret. You know, I've dealt with a lot of loss in my life, and I used to really dwell on that stuff. And, like, you know, I'm not saying I don't dwell on it now. You know, there's some times where it does come back and I just need to, like, mourn and cry or whatever. And, like, I'm not saying don't deal with this stuff, you know, like, definitely deal with it. Definitely, you know, don't think, like, you know, just because, like, you're not okay, that you're not allowed to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay, you know? But don't let this stuff define you, you know? It's ultimately the journey that you embark on. That's what makes you who you are. Your past can explain you, but it doesn't define you, if that makes any sense. And Riku is that, right? Riku has had a past, but it might explain him, and it might kind of show how he got to where he got, but it doesn't define him. I love in Dream Drop Distance where Riku, he's having another confrontation with Ansem, and it's at the end of Dream Drop Distance, towards the end of Riku's story. You know, see, I love Dream Drop Distance, and I know a lot of people don't like that game as much as, like, some of the other ones, but I love it because, like, that's where I really feel like Riku's arc becomes full circle, because, and it's this one line. It's this one line that he says to Ansem. Consume the darkness, return it to light. Literally the thing that Riku used to be and used to dwell in. Now he's going to consume that, because he's actually stronger than that thing that he used to be, and now he's going to turn it into something good. He's going to take the darkness, consume it, turn it into light. He's going to be the catalyst. He's going to be that light in the darkness for certain people. I love that. That was the line for me that really brought his story full circle. And of course him, you know, becoming a Keyblade Master and passing his mark of mastery, you know, that's really it right there. And I I love his journey. That strength to protect the things that matter. You know, even in Kingdom Hearts 1, whenever he realizes that he messed up and he tries to hold Ansem back from, you know, coming after Kairi and Donald and Goofy after Sora's sacrifice and everything. You know, even though he realized how bad he messed up and he can't take that stuff back because it already happened, it's in the past, you know, he's going to make up for it by trying to protect the things that matter. He still wants to protect his friends. He still loves his friends. He just fell into a really dark slump, you know, and he was manipulated, and like, he never really lost that. He never really lost that drive to protect his friends, to protect the things that matter to him the most. And he's such an inspiration to me. You know, and it's funny because, like, if you play Kingdom Hearts 1, it's like, man, Riku is such a jerk. He's just such a jerk, man. Like, he's annoying as heck. Like, why is he the way that he is? He's like a little brat. But, gosh, I actually love... I don't want to say I love Kingdom Hearts 1 Riku, but the reason why I can look back and say that I really like Kingdom Hearts 1 Riku is because I know where his story is going from there. Right? Like, I've seen his redemption and what that looks like, and it's really crazy to actually go and look back now and go back to Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, I'm even, like, watching people play Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time, and it's like, when I see Riku, I'm like, man, I can't even believe that Riku was like that. Like, seriously? Like, Riku was like that? Man, because it's like, that's not him anymore. That's not him anymore. The old has passed away, and now he is a new creation. You know, man, preaching over here. Come on. He quite literally let his old self die, right? And like, Chain of Memories again is like that's his turning point, right? That is his turning point where he's, you know, even though he's tempted so much by the darkness in Chain of Memories, he always fights back. There's actually a lot of power in resisting temptation. Like, you know, that's something, I mean, gosh, look at Jesus in the wilderness. Like, it literally says in Matthew 4, Jesus was tempted by the devil, but like, Jesus actually resisted the devil, never gave into that temptation. He was, you know, it's a whole story in itself. You can read it. But he was actually tempted by Satan, but never gave into it. You know, he always put Satan in his place. And it even says at the end of that, you know, he walked away with the Spirit in power. And so it's like, yo, there's power. And I know I'm talking about like Jesus and the Bible a lot. I can't help it. I'm a Christian. Like, I can't help it. There is power in walking away from temptation, right? And, you know, it might take a lot of willpower to do it. But it's so rewarding in the end. And you see that with Riku. You see that with him when he's... And don't get me wrong. In Chain of Memories, he does give in to, like, for, like, a moment. Like, he lets Ansem in for a moment where he gets, like, paralyzed and he can't move his body. And even before that, I think, like, whenever he's fighting Lexius, you know, the darkness completely takes him over and he just, like, one-shots Lexius, basically. Like, he has his moments, even through his walk of redemption and restoration, where he does slip up, and, like, that's completely normal. Like, that is going to happen because we're human. But that doesn't stop him. You know why? Because he knows that's not going to define him. And that's why he keeps going. Because he knows that he could be a better person. He knows. I feel like in Chain of Memories, like, he knows that he is vaster than darkness. He absolutely knows it. He just needs to prove it to himself. And I feel like that's a lot of us. You know? I feel like we actually know that we're better than, you know, these mistakes that we've made. We're just trying to, like, prove that to ourselves, you know? And, I think that's great, you know? However, stop trying so hard to prove it to yourself and just accept that, you know what, that was in the past. That's not me. What I'm going to do now, that's me. That's who I am. You know, you might make a mistake, but you're not a mistake. And that's huge. to understand. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to mess up. It's gonna happen. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's gonna happen. But the way that you follow through with the mistakes that you make, or the darkness that you fall in, that's so important, because you can either keep making those mistakes and keep falling into that darkness, or you can resist and you can come to this conclusion that, like, yo, I'm so much better than that. Like, I truly believe myself that I am now I'm such a better person now than I was like 7-8 years ago, because I was kind of a dumb kid 7 or 8 years ago. I truly believe that I'm so much of a better version of myself now, and it's because you learn from those mistakes. And Riku is somebody who has learned from his mistakes, and then he comes to this conclusion, like, yeah, you know what, I am vaster than darkness. He had the sense of security of, like, I'm not insecure about, like, who I am. Like, I actually, you know what? Yeah, you're right. No, I am, the darkness might be a part of me, but I'm so much more than just this darkness, right? And then again, like Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 3, saying that to him, just like that, it's just like that confirmation, right? So good. I know I talked about a lot in this one. This one definitely got a lot deeper than I was planning to go, but it's a very passionate topic that is on my heart, and I felt like I just needed to share all that. And whether you agree with me or don't agree with me, it's cool. I love you no matter what. I love Riku. He's my number 3 on this list, and it's just because of his journey. And I admire his journey. I see a lot of my journey in his journey, and I know that a lot of other people relate to him, which is why a lot of other people really love Riku. And again, if you take anything from any of this, whether you agree with me or not, I just want you to know that you are so much better than your mistakes, and you're so much better than your past, and that stuff doesn't define you. You are vaster than darkness. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Riku, number 3 on this list.